All right, let me do my slide to the left. Okay, welcome this morning. Let's go ahead and get this breathing in, regulate this emotion center, and let the prefrontal cortex know and the rest of the brain we getting ready to do a workout today. I'm going to count you down, descend in order, 3, 2, 1. At that point, you're going to inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale. And then we're going to get this mental workout party started. 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to slide to the right. Come on now. Child, not do the work. Okay. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And today we are looking at the principle of real leadership. Be willing to follow. I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Welcome to your morning mental workout. As always, make sure that you have some vasa, some agua, some water, some liquid gold, baby. Yes, your body needs this. Good morning, Lola. The brain is 75% water, so it needs hydration. Yes, it does. And also bring your, as Miss Price, my 5th grade teacher used to say, your thinking cap with you. Today's quote is from the illustrious Dr. Donna. Those who lead successfully were followers first. And the story that I have in my book is that I was a squad leader and I was a terrible squad leader, and I got demoted and put back into the same damn squad. Talk about a learning experience. Yes, that was the beginning of me understanding you got to follow first. You got to be willing to follow first. And then you have to be willing to follow after you become a leader. We are at appointments with my daughter. I follow. Good morning, Regina. I follow her. And it's okay to be a leader and a follower. It is, but don't be a lemming. Don't just randomly be following folks just because that's no braino. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing the brain regions that are connected to you being willing to follow what's involved. Then we're going to talk about what takes place in the brain when you inhibit your ability to follow someone. And then 3 actions that you can take neurologically to be willing to follow. And I would just like to say, for any parents on the live today with adult children, this one is for you. Yeah. Don't follow somebody that's already in a leadership position. Sometimes your adult child may have a better solution. Sometimes your adult child may know best. And it isn't, I gave birth to you, I changed your diapers, you don't know nothing, you don't know more than me. They do. And it's treating people with dignity and respect that allows you to follow that other person that you gave birth to, that other person that they don't know. They do. And you have to respect what it is that they do know and be willing to follow them when they know the best solution. And that's why I said the other day that anybody that lives in your household, you need that family report card. You need to sit down and say, what is it that you bring to the table? What is it that you bring? Where's your strength? Where's your opportunities? And how can we win as a team, as a family? How can we win together? And the only way that happens is if you get rid of your hierarchy in your family, that caste system that casts everybody out. It's no braino. You can't do that and be successful at the same time. Successful families that are truly high functioning leverage each other's strengths and strengthen each other's weaknesses. And in order to do that, you got to be willing to follow. When you have 3 generations of the family in the same household and they are working together, that family works as a team, as a well-oiled machine. They are champions and they win. And this is the secret sauce to be able to do that. So what are the brain regions that are involved with being willing to follow? I'm glad you asked, Regina. Number 1 on the list is winner, chicken dinner, that doggone prefrontal cortex. And and I would be remiss. I have been saying that I have allergies, but what I found out is that I have sinusitis. And so, yeah, it's an amazing gift from the military. And so my sister grew up having sinus problems. I never did. And then they came. And this entire time, I have been thinking that they are allergies, and now I know all the symptoms. And no, it is not. It is allergies are seasonal. They come and they go, or you're born with them, like a peanut allergy or something like that. But this was yet another gift that I discovered in my veteran journey and process. Yes, that has been given to me. So I need to stop saying I'm having an allergic day. I'm having a sinusitis day. And so that creates this post-nasal drip. So if I cough or if I have to blow my nose today, it is because of that. Next, first, we're going to be talking about the prefrontal cortex, in particular, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and the ventral medial prefrontal cortex. So what this does, what the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex does, is it supports perspective taking, reasoning, and suppressing ego-driven impulses that resist following. If you have, excuse me, a big old giant ego, you're not going to be able to follow anybody. You're going to micromanage the shit out of everybody because you're going to think that you know best. And the problem with that is you might know best at some point, but then if you are over the age of 35, your working memory is going to start not working like it used to. And if you keep not listening and that ego takes you to 65, 70 years old, you're just going to be an old atrophied fool. That's what's going to happen. Your brain is going to be stuck. And you're going to be talking about, well, in 1972, this is how we put it on there. This is what we did when we turned the TV off at the TV. You're going to be archaic. You're going to walk around looking like a Tyrannosaurus Rex with your information. So ego, edging grayed out, has to get out. Their ego has no place in being willing to follow. And so the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex suppresses that ego-driven concept so that you can follow others. Next is the ventral medial prefrontal cortex, and it helps weighs values, fairness. Remember, be fair is one of the 74 principles of real leadership, and trust. Establish trust and be trustworthy is also one of the 74 principles of real leadership in others when choosing to follow. And so if you go to any of my social media platforms, you will see that I no longer follow anybody. And why don't I follow anybody? Because there are no real leaders in the world worth following at this point for me. I used to follow a lot of business people, and then I was following celebrities because I was like, I'm gonna be 3 comma Dr. Donna, what the rich folks doing and all of that. And what I found is that they don't post regularly. They only show up when they want you to purchase something. They are not interested in your best interest. And at the end of the day, they're stuck too because they have atrophied and working memories as well. And so I made the decision long ago that that's not something that I was going to do. Now you'll say, well, isn't that cognitive dissonance, Dr. Donna? Because you have followers. I have not in a very long, I think maybe 2014 was when I was like, follow, like, subscribe, share, and all of that. People choose to do that because something that I have posted has resonated with them. But you will not hear me say, like, follow, and for more content, that whole little spiel that everybody has at the beginning of every one of their damn videos. I'm not saying that because that's a choice for you. And if you follow too many people, you're not even going to see the content anyway. You're still going to have to come to my page to see what's actually taking place. So that is a choice that people have made, but that's not something that I'm about to force on people. So I could be sitting somewhere like, yeah, so I got 20 million followers up in this, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I am that one. What? Not going to do that. Not at all. It is your choice. And when you actually care about people, you know that there is a responsibility for everybody that chose to click that follow button. And you can't take that lightly and just like, yeah, I got all these followers. Because what you really got is fans. So they need, and TikTok is getting ready to do that, which I think is great for people doing lives. You have super fans and then you have subscribers. And that is what I will have on TikTok is subscription. It will not be this super fan shit at all. So they actually need to switch to a fan button and a follow button. And then you'll be able to make the distinction because it sounds like you're following them. But if you have to say I'm a fan, you might think twice before you click that button. Okay, so I digress. The point is that is a decision that I have made because at one point I was like, okay, I'm getting information. And I'm like, they ain't posted in 2 weeks. Damn, I was looking, and then they ghosted us. Oh, and now they're back. Oh, they got a book out. Okay. Oh, they got a conference out. Okay. They're launching their podcast. They're like, okay. Oh, I see. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm done. This fair weather leadership thing that you got going on. So no, if you're not gonna do it every day, don't ask people to follow you. I was in my feelings. I had to come back, but I'm back now for real. So what y'all want me to talk about? No, that's no brainer. Number 2 is the anterior cingulate cortex. And what it does is it detects conflict between wanting to lead versus choosing to follow. So you choose to follow someone. That is a choice that you are making. And so don't take it lightly that you're choosing, because what you're saying is, this person is leading me in a direction that I want to go. This person has the ability to bring out the best in me. And that is why I am following them. I like the content that they're producing or what they're saying. It matters, and it's where I'm headed. And that's why I'm following them, not because as soon as you set up a new account on social media, oh, you got to follow this person, this person, this person, this person. And everybody's like, dang, they got 280 million followers. How? Because every time somebody goes onto the app, they're suggested. So that's how they end up with 280 million followers. Because it literally, I set up a new Instagram account. And for the really the brain, and here they come. Follow, 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 follow. I'm like, it's part of the same account. Why are y'all suggesting that to me? Andy Wolf Miller, help me understand why you're disrupting me talking about following people and you're asking a question that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. And I haven't addressed an unaccountable person on my live disrupting me in quite some time, but I have time today. So help me understand your role in that question that you're asking me today. Seeking a dopamine boost, potentially looking for something controversial to do because you have a hijacked amygdala. So what caused you to disrupt me and what I'm saying to ask a question about a group of people that I was not speaking about? Because you are new here. Everybody that knows me already knows the answer to this question, but you are new. So you disrupted me with a question that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Good morning, Jessica. Are you still here? Okay, so why did you do it then? I was not talking about the people in the LGBTQ community. I was talking about following. So you can actually stay if you like and learn how to follow. And when I ask questions, do you have questions? You can ask questions related to the topic at hand. So see this up at the top, be willing to follow Friday. That's the topic of this live. So feel free to stay. Feel free to not interrupt me again. And when I ask if there are questions, then you can ask questions related to today's topic at that time. Okay, so the ACC, it detects between wanting to lead and choosing to lead. And as I was mentioning, you choosing to follow. You choose to follow someone. And what it does is it supports humility and error monitoring, essential for learning from others. Now, I would like to do a caveat as a side note, because you know that I am working on regulating these amygdalas and having them do the job that they were actually assigned many, many moons ago when the brain was actually created. So in my research for my own personal development, 2 levels up so that I could become self-actualized, here is what the ACC's job is, because I did some more deeper researching. The ACC is the referee. And just think of the ACC as the bouncer if you're trying to get into a club. And it's only going to allow certain people into the club and give it access. So the amygdala, left and right, will send an alert. Something's happening. And then when the ACC is strong, this is also in the prefrontal cortex, it will then say, hold up, is this a real threat? And then it will say, okay. And it will send a message to the prefrontal cortex and say, hey, this is something real. That's when it's regulated. When it's not regulated, it will just let it all go through. And then it will say, it's a threat. Look at that. But it's supposed to be a referee. So imagine if you were watching a fight and the next thing you know, the referee starts letting everybody come in and just fight. But come on, fight, hit, hit, hit. So in your emotional regulation, when you have the strong prefrontal cortex and you strengthen all of that, you have to strengthen the ACC too, because it is saying, hey, prefrontal cortex, pay attention to this. Pay attention to this thing right here that the amygdala just told me. So it is the referee, it is a security. And if it is weak, so if you find yourself doing and saying something, the ACC moved out the way and let it occur. So you have to strengthen that portion of your brain as well, so that the ACC and the prefrontal cortex are working together to regulate the limbic system. So I did find that information out the other day. Yeah, that's your choice, Andy. Okay, I'm moving on. Got it. Number 3 is the temporal parietal junction. Okay, the temporal parietal junction. It plays a major role in empathy and understanding another person's intentions. And so it helps leaders recognize the value in another's guidance and perspective. And so what that does is there was a point when Nola didn't have the information that she needed for her business. And so I was running the business side of the business and supporting her as she continued to build her technical competence. And now I have no problem saying, ask her. She's the expert. I don't know. Where's the trash bins? This is her business. This is her business. This is her business. And that's what has to take place when you are following someone, especially when you are already a leader in a different capacity. Next is the amygdala. And this is regulated by the prefrontal cortex in theory. Okay. And so it governs emotional reactions like pride, fear of losing control, or resistance. So if you find yourself having difficulty following someone, you have to check your pride, your fear of losing control, or your resistance. And I would like to add something to this additionally is respect. If I do not respect you, I'm not following you across the room. And if I can see across the room and you're saying, hey, follow me across the room, no. And that is why I have been resistant when I was in the military and at Frito-Lay, and even in currently in these last 12 years. If I do not respect you, I'm not following you. I don't care how nice you are. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how many more people are following you. And that's why I stopped following people, because I lost respect for them. And so that's a big thing. Respect is earned, it's not given. And so you're not getting my follow. You must earn it. And I must respect you in order for that relationship to be reciprocal. So if you find yourself not listening to your adult children, you got to ask yourself, do I respect them? It's a very self-reflective question. In default mode network, do I respect them? Where is my resistance? Is this a pride thing? Do I feel like I'm losing control? What is the resistance to me following this? And what happened, especially when I was in the military, I was 23. LT, I got more time to train than you. Yeah, look at this butter bar. No, it was extremely disrespectful from senior enlisted people because they had decided you haven't earned my respect. And so I found myself well into my 40s before people actually, because they were older than me, the only thing that they had was that they were older than me. Not more educated, not more experienced in life or anything. I'm older than you. So that's you gonna respect me, respect your elders. Okay, well, respect is a two-way street. That's why one of the 74 principles of real leadership is to treat people with dignity and respect. People with dignity and respect. Not because I'm older than you, because I'm in a higher caste than you, because I have more power than you, I have more money than you, I look better than you, I'm physically fit and you're not. No, treat people with dignity and respect. That's where that's coming from. And so if I've earned the right to be respected, then respect it. If I've not, you can say, hey, here's why I respect you, Dr. Donna, because blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool, got it. I understand that. But if you're saying I'm going to follow you, and then every time I say something, you're resisting it and combative and wanting to control it and push me out the way, are you really following me, or are you just looking over my shoulder to say something about what you think I'm doing correct or incorrectly? So when regulated with the amygdala, by the PFC, it allows openness instead of defensiveness. Openness, be willing to communicate effectively is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So if you find that your amygdala is being hijacked and you are having difficulty following someone, you got to check to make sure that this is an open communication, honest relationship. Because if it isn't, you're just going to have silent passive resistance to it. Okay, yeah, I'm going to comply until you're not looking, and then I'm not going to do it. So that's what happens at most jobs. Yeah, I'm going to do that until, as soon as they go back there in their office, fuck that. We're not doing that. This is what we're getting ready to do. So if you can't be open and honest, if you allow your amygdala to hijack you, bypass the ACC, go straight to the prefrontal cortex, then there is going to be a lack of following. There's going to be a lack of respect, and there isn't going to be this win, this best objective, because the person that might have the actual answer didn't come packaged like you want them to become packaged. And I would use myself as that example. People are having a difficult time with this African American woman who has the answer to change humanity. I didn't come packaged like y'all thought it was going to be. This is a little girl from the hood that says ain't got no and odoriferous emanation sometime in the same sentence. That's not your, so you're not Neil deGrasse Tyson. Who are you? You're not somebody who was Stephen Hawkins. Like, you don't know shit about the universe. What are you talking about? That everything happens in the brain and that we can actually all be extraordinary. That's not the message. You're trying to disrupt the apple cart and mess up this power system that we have in play. Yeah. Yep. It's time for it to get dismantled and build something better. Okay. So the amygdala is stopping people from receiving the message from the messenger, the teacher in this example, the educator. Next is the insula, and it's involved in self-awareness and sensing one's internal state. I have no problem as Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers following my child into a appointment. I don't feel like I'm less of myself. I don't feel like, oh my goodness, what are people going to think? I'm sweeping up her trash. Oh, I look like the help right now. I am the help. I am helping others in a capacity that they need help in. And help others is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Because I threw trash away yesterday doesn't stop me from being Dr. Donna. I know who I am. And so what the insula allows you to do is supports humility and authenticity in stepping back to follow. The biggest problem that I have with wealthy people in positions of power and authority, is that they cannot have succession planning and get the fuck out the way for the next generation. They can't step aside. I have always been able to take, my squad, started with my squad in ROTC, and it has been that way ever since. I am always saying, hey, I see greatness in you. Come over here. Let me show you how to get this done. And then I move out the way and say, this is how, look, that you see that person over there, they used to be not able to do this. And now look at what they can do now. And that happens because I'm not niggardly with my talent. I'm not niggardly with my skill set and my information. That's why I got almost 12,000 YouTube videos, because I'm not gatekeeping real leadership. I'm saying everybody is welcome over here. The barrier to entry is not do anything immoral, illegal, and hold yourself personally accountable. I don't know no other place that you can go with that few barriers to entry so you can be a bad mofo too. That's not where that happens. And that's because I understand. I know who I am. You becoming a real leader does not stop me from being a real leader. You becoming a bad mofo where you live don't stop me from being a bad mofo in Las Vegas. We can do it together because it will make the world an actual better place. Humanity can change in one generation or less. It can happen, but it only happens if you are willing to put aside all your ego, all your stuff, your possessions and everything, and say, I don't fucking know how to use my brain. I actually don't. I used it to get these things, but day in and day out, the functionality of it ain't functioning. It's not high functioning. I don't have 860 trillion synaptic connections. I got about 1 million. And that's not enough to become extraordinary. So you have to understand that I'm teaching you how to use your brain so you can go off and do extraordinary shit. That's one of the most selfless things to do, is to say you can be extraordinary and you don't owe me your extraordinariness. You're not entering into a Faustian bargain with me. Well, you better tell everybody. You better let these motherfuckers know where this came from. I know that much. And every speech you give after this, you better be thanking me. This is quid pro quo over here. It's not. It's not. Because I can follow you. You can follow me. We can follow an 8-year-old if they got the information. If I'm at an elementary school and an 8-year-old knows where the bathroom is, I'm following them because I'm perimenopausal and I got to pee like every 12 minutes. Where the bathroom at? Yes, I will follow a 4th grader. This old ma'am is over here. Let me show you. Okay. So that's following. It could be for a short period of time when I'm in Lowe's and I can't find something. I'm in a grocery store. Where is it at? I don't care. I'm like, I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers. Move out the way. I'll find the arugula myself. No, I won't. Especially if you didn't change the doggone floor plan. It's not going to happen. So the insula keeps you self-aware into who you actually are. And it allows you to be humble and authentic and willing to follow somebody else because you are going to learn. Number 6 is the hippocampus. This stores relational memory, remembering positive experiences of collaboration. Have I been on some fucked up teams with some terrible leaders? Absolutely. My family is as dysfunctional as it can become. So no, I don't want to follow them because I know it's going to lead me to doom, gloom, and damnation. Not following them nowhere. However, I have been in some extraordinary experiences where it was worth it. And when you are allowing the amygdala to amygdala And then the ACC to send real notifications to the prefrontal cortex. You can say, oh, I remember when I was following somebody that was younger than me. I will remember when somebody was a different gender than me, a different ethnicity, a different socioeconomic status than me. I followed them and it worked out great. Let me do this again. And the reward loop coming from the basal ganglia and the nucleus accumbens is going to say, we like that. Let's do that again. And it helps leaders recall when following others led to growth. I'm following my daughter for the last 4.5 years because I have had experiences that Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers would have never had, because I'm Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers and people want to be on their good behavior when I show up. They don't want to just, but when I am not coming in as Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers and I'm my daughter's assistant, then people automatically go, okay, cool, you cool. And then some have found out who I am and some have not. But the defenses are not there. I got to be on my best behavior. So there's no way that I would have had access to this many people. I've had access as me, but I had other access behind the curtain. So the book, The Presentation of Life, The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life, talks about people's backstage. I've had access to people's backstage, and it has been very rewarding, and you all have benefited from that, because I'm like, okay, got it. I have had biases and think, well, people need to be doing this. And then I'm like, oh, this is why they can't do it. Hence the brain t-shirt and hence neuroprobability. So in summary, the circuit levels, here are the dynamics for following others. It is the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala loop. This regulates your pride and your defensiveness, fostering openness. You have to be open to following somebody else. You have to be open because it's a willing choice. It's not a command. It's a choice that you make yourself. And then you have the temporal parietal junction in the ACC circuit. And this enables empathy plus conflict resolution. So that equals choosing to follow wisely, not blindly. Make a decision. Why am I following this person? I challenge you, and I have a video for it that says, look at the people you following. Why are you following them? You followed them 5 years ago. You still following them, and they ain't posted in 6 years. I know the math don't math. And then finally, the PFC, the insula, and the hippocampus network. It balances self-awareness, trust, and memory of successful leadership. So the real leader neuroscience insight from yours truly is this. When a real leader is willing to follow, they activate the humility circuit of the brain, shifting from ego-driven control, which is, sponsored by the amygdala, to trust-driven connection, which is the prefrontal cortex, the temporal parietal junction, and the anterior cingulate cortex. So following strengthens neural flexibility. And we know that cognitive flexibility resides in the executive function of the brain. And this allows you to teach the brain that leadership is not just about dominance, but about a shared wiring for collective success. That's what it's about. I am a very strong leader, have been since I was in high school, but I'm a better leader from following. That's what this is about today. So what questions do you have about the brain regions that you use in order to follow, as I transition into why you can't follow or why you're choosing not to follow? It's not can't, it's a choice. If it's clear, it's clear. If you have something to say, you can say it. Lola says it's clear. Jessica says it's clear. Regina has no questions. Kevin is clear. And Nola. Yes, ma'am, I can summarize. So basically, the regions of the brain that you use in order to be a follower are the prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, the temporal parietal junction, the amygdala, the insula, and the hippocampus. And what I am saying is that you choose to follow someone. And you do that because you know that you are going to benefit from that choice. And also, you have to regulate the amygdala in order to choose to follow someone, because it requires humility and empathy and understanding. And so every day that we go to your appointments, my amazing offspring, I'm choosing to follow you. When you come back to the vehicle and you tell me what I need, and then you say, this is the order that we're going to put these things together. Here's what we're getting ready to do. Here are my thoughts. I am choosing to follow you. Now, if I were not choosing to follow you, which is what I'm getting ready to get into, I would say, we ain't doing that shit. Move out the way. And I would go back into the house with you. Good morning, Sean. I would go in the house and say, Who are you? What did you say? No, we're not putting that picture on that wall. And I could take over the whole point. That don't make no sense to put the bed over there. Now, I do that if it's a feng shui violation and it doesn't make sense, then I will say, may I make a suggestion? So I do on the spot corrections because I am still mentoring you and I am still 29 and a half years older than you. So if I see something from a wise counsel perspective, then I will say that. But for the most part, you're running your life, you're running your appointments, and I'm following you. So you have to choose to follow. Yes, ma'am. It's a choice that you make, because if you find yourself resisting following someone, you got to ask yourself why. Go ahead and talk to the fraternal twins. Amy and Lala are the reason why. Check in with them. And it could be because you don't respect the person, or it could be because you caught up in your ego and following people means that you're weak. It's not. That's not what it means. I'm still me, but I'm choosing to follow you because in this instance, this is your business and this is helping you. It's also helping other people. And it doesn't stop me from being Dr. Donna. So yes, following is a choice. And it's one that you shouldn't take lightly. Oh, yep, I'm going to follow them. I like them, so I'm going to follow them. Hold up, wait a minute. Where are we going? Where are you taking me when you asking me to follow you? When you we say, follow me. We say, lead the way. That's what we used to say in the Army. Where we going? What time we getting there? When we coming back? What's the objective? I ain't about to just be blindly following you. And I found if I don't respect or agree with their choices, I don't want to follow them. Exactly. And it is your personal choice to choose to follow or not to follow. And hopefully now you understand, Nola. So I think you do. So now all y'all about to go back through y'all follow. Why am I following you? Why am I following you? Did you earn it? Did you earn my follow? You just follow me. Check, click, click, that whole notion. But before I get started, I want you to subscribe so you get that notification. You can check, you can say, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, you're on the receiving of, yeah, sorry, I was gone for 8 months, but I had some stuff I was working out, but I'm back. What's up with y'all? So you're not ghosting me. Nope, not at all. Okay. The next is the inhibits a person from being willing to follow. So what inhibits a person from doing that? Number one on the list, winner, chicken dinner, is amygdala overactivation. So a threat response. When pride goes before a fall. Notice that pride is not one of the 74 principles of real leadership. When pride, fear of losing status, or distrust is triggered, the amygdala sends signals, danger. And this produces defensiveness, anger, or resistance, making following feel like a threat rather than a choice. So it makes it feel like it. And I would like to say rarely is the occasion where you're like, I'm listening to my gut brain, my insula is telling me, yeah, I don't trust you. That's not what's happening. Most of the time when you are resisting it, you are resisting it because of ego and because of pride. But here is the number one reason why you're resisting following somebody. Change. Because that if you follow that person, you're going to have to change. You're going to have to get out your comfort cocoon. You're going to have to get out your comfort zone. You're going to have to leave Loserville, and you're going to have to become better. So that is resistance as well. I'm not following her. She be doing too much. She be asking you to turn in stuff every day. Why would you do that? And here she go talking all that brain shit. Ain't nobody got time to be listening at that level. Did she say the amygdala? Mm-hmm. And she gonna say prefrontal cortex too. She's talking about the dorsolateral prefrontal, that thing with that. Did she fuck up dopaminergic? Yeah. Mm-hmm. She don't know. No, I ain't trying to do all that. I want a little bit of change. I don't want a lot of bit of change. So yeah, that's hard to do too. If I follow you, now I'm gonna have to do what you said. I don't have no excuses over there. You gotta do. You ain't playing. If you about to go do that, I don't want to change. So yeah, it's either ego or change. The other ones are sitting in the middle, but the major two reasons for it is that. Okay, number two is the prefrontal cortex is rigid, inflexible, and be flexible is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So instead of flexibility, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex can lock you in to rigid, my way is the best way of thinking. Ain't nobody got time for that. We just went to an appointment yesterday, an older Asian couple, and the wife is all on Facebook and doing everything. She got everything on auto pay and everything. And he is still writing checks. I said, you got paper checks? You still, I worked one other day, the NV Energy. I said, what? He said, people still take paper checks. I said, who? Where are you? He said, I'm not on any of that. I'm not on social media. I'm from Texas and this is what I'm doing. I said, okay, got it. But they living in 2025 because of her. Because if it was him, he'd be back in 1997, balancing his checkbook every week. Okay, so the ventral medial prefrontal cortex may misweight personal pride over group fairness, causing resistance and guidance from others. So you got to check your pride. You actually have to check your pride. You do. If you are prideful, pride goes before a fall. If you have so much pride that you think I don't have to go back there, that's the problem. That is the problem. Dirty hands, clean money. You always need to be of service, and not because the holiday season is coming upon some people who choose to participate. Well, I did my part. I served my time. I did that. I had to do that dirty work back in my 20s, but I don't do that no more. I just sit over here and I don't do that anymore. Okay, well, you're missing all the rewards that come from doing the dirty work, doing the physical work that it takes to be a complete whole human being. All your brain regions are not as strong as they need to be because you are too prideful, and you sitting in office, you're sitting on your bread, you're sitting in your little high top house, sitting on the hill. And And so in Henderson, the owner of the Raiders lives in Henderson, and they're starting to build in the mountains here in Las Vegas, tearing up the mountains. But he has this big white house that sits on top of the mountains in Henderson, so he can look down in the valley on everybody else, and everybody knows this is a White House with black trim. That's what's his name, Davis' house, and he lives up there on top of the hill. And my whole point is, if you have an emergency, they're gonna have to send the helos. They're not gonna be able to send emergency responders and all of that. It's gonna take a minute to get to your ass because you did not have to go that far up the mountain. So that is a prideful person sitting up there, letting everybody know. That person is not going to follow nobody. And sometimes it's to your own detriment. So you're like, no, I know everything. That's why back in the day when they had they still have the ruling class, but back in the day they called it a small council, and they would sit down and decide how we're going to go to war. And there'd be some elderly people coming in here and talking to some 15-year-old king. Hey, let me tell you something. This is how this is supposed to go down. And the king would say, I don't care. I'm the king and I'm in charge. And next thing you know, the king is dead. And now they have a new ruling class. So yeah, that part. Number 3 is the anterior cingulate cortex. It has conflict avoidance. So normally the ACC, remember the ACC is the referee. The ACC is the referee, so it detects conflict and adjusts the behavior. But when it's underactive, because you got that strong ass amygdala, them limbic systems, them damn fraternal twins looking like doggone, big giant wrestlers, sumo wrestlers. So they're overwhelmed by emotion, so the person ignores or suppresses signals that following would be beneficial. So to your own detriment, following someone else would be beneficial. And because of a weak ACC, the fraternal twins just bulldoze over you and say, we're not following them. Fuck them. They don't know what they're talking about. How could a 22-year-old know better than me? I'm 65. I know exactly what I'm doing. Ain't no 22. You don't even have your frontal lobe yet. How you going to tell me? I'm not following you. And the next thing you know, you're sitting in some precarious situation because the 22-year-old did actually have the information. Now, the insula is over self-focused. So the insula has a heightened sense of self-awareness, and it is overly turned towards ego and self-importance. And it amplifies feeling like embarrassment or shame about following, which inhibits openness. So I could have some embarrassment or shame. I'm over here. One day I had to jump in a dumpster because I threw the manual away. We got a system in play now, so that rarely happens now. It was hot as hell. I burned my arm on the dumpster. Still couldn't find the doggone manual. Y'all know I'm a germaphobe. So can you imagine how embarrassed or shameful I was jumping in that damn dumpster? But that couch needed to be put together. So I had to override that. And then I smelled like garbage and got Febreze. But I'm like, I still smell like garbage. We had one more appointment that day. And then I showered heavily. I was scrubbing like I had been in the doggone radiation place, like in Silkwood. I'm scrubbing, trying to get that trash off of me. But I needed to do that because that was the right thing to do in that moment. I'm say, I'm Dr. Donna. I'm not jumping in the trash. I'm the one who threw the damn manual away. So yeah, I got to jump in the dumpster. Okay. Default mode network is number 5. And it is your mind-wandering, self-referential thoughts that can dominate, reinforcing self-identity as I am the leader. I am the leader. I'm the head of the household. I am in charge, and I am large and in charge, and we only listen to me, and we won't listen to nobody else. That's a dictatorship. That's not a partnership. And then the narrative blocks the brain's shift from collaboration into I'm the shit. So you're not going to collaborate. It's all about me. It's the me show, and that's it. And then finally, you got a weakened temporal parietal junction. That's where the temporal lobe and the parietal lobe meet. So there is no engagement. And so there is low activation here, and it reduces perspective taking and empathy. And without this, it's harder to recognize another person's strength and accept their leadership. So you can see that this person is strong and that they're a leader too. They're a leader too, TOO. So here is the summary. What inhibits willingness to follow is often ego plus fear. And those circuits are overruling trust and empathy. So your ego and your fear is way stronger than your trust and your empathy circuits. So what you have is an overactive amygdala with a rigid prefrontal cortex. That's a fixed mindset. So you're going to be defensive and prideful. You're going to have a weak anterior cingulate cortex. Remember, that's the referee. And a weak temporal parietal junction. That's not going to be regulated. So now you're going to have poor conflict resolution with low empathy. And then finally, you will have excessive insula and default mode network. You're going to become internally focused, and that's going to inflate your self-importance narrative. I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers. I have gone to school for 23 years, and I have all these certifications and everything else. I will not be jumping in the dumpster today, nor shall I jump any other day. In fact, it's hot, and I'm going to need someone to bring me something cold to drink while I stand here and watch you all dumpster dive. And yes, I am the reason why that manual is in the trash, but I am Dr. Donna, and I am always right. So jump away, find the manual, don't. I'm going inside with the AC. No, it's not how that works at all. So yeah, and that's that. So what questions do you have as we come to the top 3 that you can use in order to strengthen your neurological pathways to follow? So those are the reasons why people don't follow anybody but themselves. And we have leaders right now in positions of power and authority that are not listening or following. And they're going to find themselves off a cliff somewhere, figuratively. Theoretically, not figuratively. So that Freudian slip. Okay. All right, no questions. All righty. So the top 3 actions that you can take neurologically to be willing to follow. Number 1, regulate that doggone amygdala with prefrontal cortex control. So the action that you take is you practice mindful pauses before reacting. Deep breathing, labeling emotions, or quick reflections activate the prefrontal cortex, specifically the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and the ventral medial prefrontal cortex. And this calms the amygdala. And the neural effect is this. You shift the brain out of threat and defensive mode, which means you're not going to follow, and to openness and trust, making it easier to accept others' guidance. Easier to do it, because that's all it means when you're following someone is they are guiding you to an objective that you need in order for you to succeed. Now, number 2 is to engage the empathy circuit with the temporal parietal junction and the anterior cingulate cortex. So the action is intentionally take another person's perspective. Ask, what do they see that I don't? Or what's their intention? So you got to ask yourself that. Okay, what do they see that I don't see? What is their intention? And then the neural effect will be this. That action is going to activate the temporal parietal junction and the ACC. And it will wire the brain towards empathy, humility, and conflict resolution. And this quiets ego-driven resistance. So the next time you find yourself not wanting to follow, ask yourself, do I respect the person? Because if you don't, now you know. But if you got to go within your default mode network and say, okay, am I resisting them? Why am I resisting them? And then go down the path of what that actually is. And is it because I'm caught up in my ego? Do I have some superiority complex going on? Or is this fear? Is it because I got to change and I got to fix mindset and I don't want to do that? But you really need to explore what is taking place for you. And then number 3 is that you balance self-awareness with humility. So again, the insula and the hippocampus. And the action is simply recall times when following others led to growth, success, or relief. and pair this memory with the present self-reflection. When was the time that I actually followed somebody and it worked? It led to my benefit. And the neural effect of this is that the insula, the self-awareness, and the hippocampus, which is relational memory, builds a neural narrative that following is not weakness. That's the whole point. Just because you follow somebody doesn't mean that you are weak, but strength. So this reconditions the brain to embrace following as a part of leadership. It's not, I'm a leader, you a follower, that's it. I lead, you follow. We ain't never changing that. So here's the Dr. Donna's insight. Every time you regulate emotions, practice perspective taking and recall growth from following. You're literally rewiring the brain towards humility, trust, and collaboration. And this is the foundation for being willing to follow someone. And so here's the Dr. Donna quote, and I'll move out the way. It's the yellow quote, and it's basically saying, because some of the chat might wait for you, real leaders understand that being a follower isn't weakness, it's training. Okay? So you are training when you are following. Every step of humility and listening wires the brain for empathy, wisdom, and the strength to lead with clarity. That is what takes place. So, what questions or comments? And you should have some comments in this morning for this, because you should, at this point, you should say, damn, I didn't follow such and such, and this is what happened, or I did, or dang, I'm feeling resistance right now, Dr. Donna. So what are you feeling or thinking right now that I have given you this new information with regards to the principle of real leadership? Be willing to follow. What are your thoughts? Not that I'm not clear. We just have our quick brain bit. Thank you, Kevin, for remembering your ellipse to let me know that you are thinking. Now it's a great time to follow Kevin. And everybody after yesterday, people are like, let me type this ellipse in. Get this brain out here. This lady was acting a fool yesterday. And another thing, start typing these damn ellipses. Is Kevin the only one thinking? Boom, boom. Jessica, I have an upset that I followed a man because I was told he was the leader of the family and he isn't a good leader. Well, yeah, Jessica, I can understand that because I did that too. I met my ex-husband in church. The Bible says, submit to your husband. And I did. And I almost ended up in jail. And I don't know the county in Florida no more, Virginia, you know it, but I almost ended up in the county behind that statement. So I understand completely. I'm like, follow him. The motherfucker won't get out the bed to go to work. Where we going? Back to sleep? Where I'm following his ass to the mall to spend some more money. Where we going? The bank to get some more money? To get him another pair of alligator shoes? A car? A watch? An instrument? He came home with a saxophone one day. Said he always wanted a saxophone. You 38. You couldn't have bought that motherfucker before now? I don't know how I end up paying for a saxophone. You always wanted one. Seemed like you could have purchased one. Okay. Sean says that it's okay to be open to collaborate with others to learn more. Nola is thinking. Kevin said, I never like when people ask me to follow them, especially when I clearly can't see where we're going. Where we going? Follow me. Okay. And then Jessica says, and it's been wild and so much better now that he still goes against me, but I leave myself and the kids because he wasn't able to, and he blamed me for his mistakes. That's the amygdala talking to him. His amygdala is not going to take responsibility for his actions. Hijacked amygdalas don't think rationally. Regina said, I like the idea of intentionally trying another's POV to understand why I might choose to follow someone. Yes. And I understand the background now. Okay, great. And Sean said, well said at Kevin. So as you continue to grow forward in your own personal leadership journey, and I would just like to remind you that you are a leader. As Jessica is saying, you're the CEO of Me Incorporated. That's number one. If you never choose to have offspring, if you never choose to take a leadership role in a place of employment or become an entrepreneur, you're still the CEO of Me Incorporated. So you are a leader. Everybody, every adult is a leader. Now, whether you choose to acknowledge that and take on the role as a leader as you need to and be responsible for your own existence, that's the personal choice that you're making. However, you need to lead your life, not just live it, but lead it. Where are you taking you? What journey are you taking yourself on? That's totally 100% up to you. And you need to understand that. I'm not saying that you need to become one. I would like for you to do that for your own personal gain. But if you choose not to do it, just don't be sitting somewhere talking about they didn't, they did, they wouldn't, they. You got to sing the song. You got to bend the wrist. And I haven't said that in a long time. Point your finger towards me, towards the screen. And this is simple. You have to just this ergonomics works. It's like pew, 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 pointing at you. Now take those two fingers and do this. Bend them towards you to the best of your ability without injuring yourself. That hurts. It hurts me. It hurts because I got my body raggedy as shit now. I found out about all the stuff I can't do no more because I got workarounds. But anyway, this hurts. This hurts. But this is where the change is going to happen at. Fix you first because it fixes a lot. This is easy. You can do this all over there. Da, 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 da. Do this, you barely got movement. You ain't you is limited. And this is literally hurting me right now. But this is limited. But this is where the problem is. This right here. This is why I say fix you first, because it fixes a lot. And when you don't want to do this no more, then you're like, okay, cool, let me fix this. Because this is simple. Very, very simple. But it ain't gonna change this. You can do this for the rest of your life. And Jessica, your significant other, is doing that. But this is what's going to get fixed. So if you are unwilling to follow and you are unwilling to lead your own life, where are you going? What do you think is going to happen at the end of every day? If you're doing this, you're not doing this, and you ain't following nobody, you are going to end up nowhere, sitting in your comfort cocoon, in your comfort zone, blaming everyone else. And so we all know one or more persons like that. And you can't rationalize with an irrational person. So fix you first. Go into an environment where you can grow and flourish and allow them to leave them be. As Michael Williams said, I forgot what I was watching with him many years ago. And he said, yeah, they leave me be. So just leave them be. All right. Moving on to listening to a music. Down here, ladies and gentlemen, how many brain regions are you using when you listen to some music? How many brain regions are you using when you're listening to some music? Is the chat not enabled? Am I here? Do I need to log in and see? Okay, let me go into YouTube and see if I can see it that way. I love YouTube. Yes, I do. I love YouTube. I love YouTube. Yes, I do. I love YouTube. Yes. Okay. Where's the chat? Give me 1 second, y'all. What's happening? Go back. Okay, yeah, it's not showing up on my screen. I had to log in this way. Give me 1 second. Okay, so Sean says all points are good. A good factor for me thinking. Kevin said 15. Nola said 10. Sean said 12. Regina said 12. And the answer is 12. Now let me go back. And I don't know why this just stopped. And see, people always trying to do other stuff with this. TikTok had its own glitches. But when you start trying to take what other people are doing so they'll stay on your platform and you don't write the code correctly, then there's all these glitches that take place because YouTube is designed for streamers to go ahead and stream for hours and for people to just get this nice little dopamine loop that they stay in to watch streamers play games. It's not designed for this interactive live component. So they want you to do green screen, but if I flip it, y'all gonna be looking at my bed or I'm not gonna be able to come back. So it's all these little idiosyncrasies that they haven't done with gotten the bugs out because they're still trying to compete and grab everybody from TikTok. Same thing with Instagram. So if you're going to take something from someone and implement it, make sure that everything works. Because I shouldn't have to be on my tablet on this, oh wait, did y'all say something? Somebody type something and all that. The functionality is not good. It's not second mile service over here. Is it functioning? Yeah. But is it extraordinary? Absolutely not. So there are 12 regions that you use for the brain. And if you all are chatting, I'm going to come back. I'm going to read this and then I'll get back in the chat. So listening to music is one of the most whole brain activities we do. Research and neuroscience shows that there are 12 key brain regions that are consistently activated, often in coordination with many more, depending on memory, movement, or emotion. So the core ones that you are using, and some of these are combined. So the auditory cortex is both temporal lobes. And so it processes pitch, rhythm, and melody. The prefrontal cortex interprets meaning, expectation, and emotional response. The motor cortex engages with tapping your feet, nodding your head, or imagining movements. The cerebellum fine-tunes rhythm and timing. The hippocampus links music to memory and associations. The amygdala processes the emotional intensity of the music. Okay, nucleus accumbens and the ventral striatum. That's the reward system releasing dopamine. So that's why people love listening to music because it's the dopamine release. The insula integrates bodily feelings with the music and emotional tone. So you feel it all in your body. It's like, this is awesome. The corpus callosum, and that's the tissue that separates the left and right hemisphere. It coordinates activity between hemispheres so you can sing along and you can snap your fingers and dance and everything else too. And then the visual cortex, it activates when imagining or visualizing music. So if you ever close your eyes while you're singing a song, that's what's taking place. So in short, listening to music lights up almost the entire brain, connecting sound, movement, memory, and emotion into a powerful network of neural activity. So when you are listening to music, almost your whole entire brain is being lit up. And that's what makes it such an amazing thing to do. All right. And Jessica said 8. Okay. So the two things that are on the table right now, before we get out of here, is what did you learn today? And what did you learn about yourself? Let's see if this pops up. Do I need to go back out again? And if you're thinking, remember, ... thinking brain, emoji, anything to let me know that you are preparing to answer the question. Plus, I want to make sure that this is typing and showing up correctly. And it is not. So let me go back out. Come back in. Yep, it is really messing up. So I'm going to stay right here because I see that Jessica and Kevin are thinking. Is anybody else thinking? Regina's thinking. Dr. Donna's thinking. I wonder why it's just stopped. Jessica said, I learned that leading also means you trust yourself to trust others. Sean is thinking. And Nola is thinking. And Dr. Donna is nasally. Kevin, myself, I'm glad to know I wasn't the only person not annoyed by people asking for followers. Oh, yeah. Lola said, by being a leader, you first must learn how to follow. Nola said, I learned that you have to choose to follow. Yes. And people take the followers for granted, and I've never done that because I was sitting at 200 and some followers on Instagram for a lot of years. A lot of years. More years than I care to admit. And so that's why I'm not like, I only have. Nola, I learned about myself that I have to remove pride to be willing to follow. You do. Pride is what stop a lot of people from following for whatever reason. I'm not. What I had when I worked at the traffic center, I had 120 drivers, 2 female, 118 men between the temporaries, the part times, and the full time drivers. And and I was in my 20s, late 20s, early 30s, like right at 30, 31. And they had no problem letting me know that I was a woman and that they was not going to listen to me. And I had no problem saying, and you could be unemployed. And I know what I'm talking about. One guy, Joe Bombardo, he went off on me and he is still breathing because I had to remember I was taking care of a child and going through a divorce. And when I was getting ready to leave to move to Michigan, he came back and apologized. And he said, I was so wrong. I was so wrong. I should have never said those things to you. I was so wrong because I sent his ass to anger management. Yes, I did. I'm learning so much, and thank you for telling me I had a problem, and I appreciate you, and I'm going to miss you. Like, okay, Joe. All right. Now let me go back out, go back in, because if you all are typing. So, yeah. All right. Was Nola the last person that typed something? Because now I went back out and went back in, and I don't see anything. Let me do it myself and see what's happening. So I see my comment. This service is currently unavailable. Okay. Wow. How is it going to be currently unavailable, YouTube? Excuse me, y'all. Let me see. Go live, they say. Encourage people to chat, they say. And then don't enable the chat. Okay, I see something. Hold up. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Can I pull? Okay, here we go. Damn it. Kevin said, myself, oh, yeah, okay. And then Lola said, being a leader, you must learn to follow. No, okay, got that. And then Kevin said, today, great leaders understand the position of followers. And then Sean said, I have learned that keeping an open mind to collaborate and make your choice the right decision for self to go forward, but with success. And I have learned about myself that I am not too old to learn. That is correct. No one is. Methuselah, we learned, was like 966 or something like that. And then Regina said, following can be beneficial when I'm trying to learn something that I know nothing about, but I'm curious about something new. Yes. And that is the biggest thing, is that we have been taught there is only a certain group of people who can lead. Those are the chosen ones. And I have loved to disrupt that whole process and turn truck drivers into leaders and packers and all kind of administrators and the running organizations and everything else, because I say anyone can lead from the PTA to the boardroom. You can't, because leadership is a learned skill. It's not something that you just are naturally born to be able to do. Even if you have the characteristics, you still have to refine and define yourself as a leader. And what I also know is that if you just choose your leadership style, and I had a different leadership style in my teens, in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, and now that I'm in my 50s, if it's an evolutionary process, that's what my dissertation was on, Robert Northhouse path goal theory of what is leadership, and it's situationally dependent. So you can't just say, I'm a selfless leader, and that's what I do, because sometimes you got to put your foot on somebody's neck, and that's not selfless. That's actually physical. That's command and everything else. Metaphorically, not physically. Anyway, the point is that you are constantly growing and developing. And so if I hadn't have asked Daphne how to use Snapchat, we don't have YouTube videos. If I hadn't asked another person how to use Twitter, then I wouldn't have had all those years of turnaround tweets. If I hadn't asked Nola about Jiffies, then I don't have almost 18 billion views on my Jiffy page. So when you follow someone and say, how do you do this? For many years, I did not know how to edit videos, and you had to use software back then. So there would be no content. Because if I wasn't, well, I'm Dr. Donna, and I'm just not gonna have videos in. Everybody that made content for me was much younger than me. They knew and I didn't. So hey, I mean, Nola's in middle school editing. You all have seen some of those videos. She is 13 years old in 7th grade, literally making videos that I'm putting on my YouTube channel. And she was shocked as a teenager, like, you about to put this on YouTube? I sure am. And it improved her ability to be able to be an effective video editor as she is today. She redid the website because she watched me do websites. She had to do her own websites for her blog. And now she has this skill set. And so there's this mutual exchange when you are willing to follow the people around you. And so my question to you is for you to think while you're in your default mode network, why are people around you? If you can't follow them too, and they can only follow you, they're useless to you. And you are overextending yourself to them. So the expectation is anybody that's around me, you got some information, I got some information. I'm gonna follow you when I need what you got. You gonna follow me when you need what I got. And that's what makes us better collectively. And that's why I said you have to be like, and Nola's gonna tell me it's not the Avengers. I think it's Justice League, because she said I was mixing all kind of people up. But the Justice League is there because everybody has their unique strength. But when it's time to go, they follow each other to do that thing that they needed to do. That's why we need to change the world. That's why, and you need to change it where you are. You don't need to, but it would be great if you did. There is a need, but you have to choose to be able to do that, because that's the issue. We have, where's the alpha? Well, there can only be one alpha in the house. There can only be one alpha in the house. Why? Why does anybody have to be an alpha? That makes no sense. Why can't it be the person who is in this particular instance the strongest person to get this done, the most leader resound person to get that done? And now let's choose someone else to get this next thing done and get this next thing done. But the alpha don't always know. Most of the time they don't know. But this bravado and this charisma and all of this makes you stand there and know, and you don't know. And now, and because of the ego, you won't admit that you don't know. Alphas don't admit that they don't know. People in positions of power and authority, especially long-term leaders, will not. They will go, die, fall on the sword for something that could have been prevented. That's how it goes. So being a leader means being a follower, being able to listen, which is why that's 2 of the principles of real leadership. That's what you need to be able to do in all instances. In all instances. And if you find yourself not being able to follow someone, bend the wrist. Why won't I follow this person? And if they are around you, why are they around you? If you are unwilling, so assess the people. T-Mobile used to have a top 5. Assess the top 5 people who have access to you. And if you can't follow them, why are they in your 5? Why do they have access to you? And why do you have access to them? Why? Because it's not an advantageous relationship. It's not. You're not going to be better because they're following you. That's not how that works, okay? Be coachable and provide coaching are 2 of the principles of real leadership. So that means if you're going to be coachable, that means you're following somebody else. And if you're going to provide coaching, that means you're leading by example, which is another of the 74 principles of real leadership. So yes, unity builds an empire. It does. And I said that the other day. United we stand, divided we fall. We tied it in pantyhose, 2 sizes small. That's how it has to be collectively as an adult population globally. Can you imagine what the world will feel like when everyone is leading when they need to lead and everyone is following when they need to follow, and we have no more hijacked amygdalas, and the brain is braining. Everyone's brain is functioning at this very high neurological level. What a utopia that will be. What a great place that will be, where you will just go to the grocery store and the produce will be fresh, where the thing you bought online looks like the photo. Your day-to-day life will be better because people will be knowing how the brain works, functioning at that high functioning level, and operating at that very, very high level. It can happen. It can. It actually can, because can makes the impossible possible. And that's one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So think about who you're following or not following and ask yourself why. From this day forward, actually ask why. Okay, Lola, we're getting ready to go. So this was even more of a challenge for me because now this screen is stuck on the chat from when Sean said, well said, Kevin. And now this one is here. Remove obstacles is 1 to 7 for principles of real leadership. So there we have it. All right. Thank you for your time today and taking the time out to create new neural pathways. Your neurons are firing and wiring. You're making new synaptic connections for yourself. You will benefit from it where you reside. I will be back tomorrow, God willing, higher power in the universe. Same time, same place, safe space, different brain t-shirt. You all go off and have a brain-tastic day. Take care.